I always thought my life was a steady canvas, painted with the muted tones of routine and predictability. My name is Daniel Hargrove, a 38-year-old architect with a modest firm in Portland. My wife, Emily, was the vibrant streak of color in that otherwise orderly world. Her laughter, her spontaneous weekend trips to the coast, her habit of leaving half-finished sketches on our kitchen table. We'd been married for 12 years, and though the initial wildfire of passion had settled into a comfortable glow, I never doubted her devotion. She was a graphic designer, freelancing from home, her days filled with deadlines and coffee cups. Our house, a craftsman-style fixer-upper we'd bought a decade ago, smelled of her lavender candles and my wood polish. It was ours, a testament to years of shared dreams. That morning started like any other. The alarm buzzed at 6:30, and I stumbled downstairs to brew coffee while Emily slept in. Her auburn hair splayed across the pillow like a Renaissance painting. I kissed her forehead before heading to the office, leaving a note. "Dinner at Rossi's tonight? Love you." She texted back an hour later. A heart emoji and "sounds perfect." I smiled, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface of our quiet life. Work dragged on with blueprints and client calls, but my mind wandered to her. Emily had been distracted lately, her phone buzzing more than usual. She'd brush it off, client revisions, she'd say, or a friend from her college days. I trusted her implicitly. Suspicion wasn't in my nature. But that day, something shifted. A coworker, Mike, dropped by my desk with a casual remark. "Saw Emily at that new wine bar on 5th last night. Didn't know she was into late-night tastings." I laughed it off. She'd mentioned a girls' night, but a splinter of doubt lodged itself in my chest. I drove home under a gray April sky, the air heavy with rain that wouldn't fall. Emily greeted me with a peck on the cheek, her eyes bright but fleeting. "How was your day?" she asked, stirring risotto on the stove. I mentioned Mike's comment, watching her face. Her spoon paused midair, just for a second, before she smiled. "Oh yeah, forgot to tell you. Sarah dragged me out after dinner. You know how she is." I nodded, swallowing the unease. Dinner at Rossi's was pleasant. Dim lights, her hand brushing mine over tiramisu, but her phone stayed face down, silent for once. I didn't push. Not yet. The next week unraveled like a thread pulled from a sweater I didn't know was fraying. Emily's late nights multiplied. Client meetings, she claimed, her voice breezy but her eyes avoiding mine. I'd come home to an empty house, her sketches untouched, the lavender candles unlit. I'd text her, and she'd reply hours later, "Running late. Don't wait up." I'd lie awake, the bed cold beside me, replaying her excuses. She'd slip in past midnight, smelling faintly of something sharp, cologne, maybe, or wine I didn't recognize. I'd ask, half asleep, and she'd murmur about deadlines, her voice a lullaby I wanted to believe. One Thursday, I left work early, a headache pulsing behind my eyes. I stopped by the grocery store, planning to surprise her with her favorite lemon rosemary chicken. As I turned onto our street, I saw her car in the driveway, parked crookedly, beside a black Audi I didn't know. My stomach tightened, but I told myself it was a client. I parked a block away, curiosity gnawing at me, and walked back, letting myself in quietly. The house was still, save for a low murmur from upstairs. I climbed the steps, each creak amplifying the thud in my chest. At the bedroom door, I froze. Through the crack, I saw her, my Emily, tangled in our sheets with a man I recognized instantly. Tom Carver, her old college boyfriend. He'd moved to town a year ago, and she'd mentioned running into him at a cafe. "Just catching up," she'd said. Now, his hands roamed her skin, her laughter soft and intimate in a way I hadn't heard in months. My vision blurred, not with tears but with a rage so pure it felt like ice. I backed away, silent, my fists clenched until my nails drew blood. I didn't confront them, not then. I drove aimlessly that night, the city lights smearing into streaks through the windshield. My mind replayed the scene, her arched back, his smug grin, like a film stuck on loop. I ended up at a dive bar on the edge of town, nursing a double whiskey, the burn in my throat a poor match for the fire in my gut. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat there, plotting, the pieces of my life shattering into a mosaic I could reshape. Emily texted me at 11:47. "Where are you?" Got worried. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the reply button, then locked it and ordered another drink. By morning, I'd made a decision. I wouldn't let her know I'd seen. Not yet. I'd play the oblivious husband. Let her dig her own grave while I built something worse for her and Tom. I returned home at dawn, showered, and cooked breakfast as if nothing had changed. She padded downstairs, yawning, her hair mussed in a way that now made my skin crawl. "Late night at the office?" she asked, kissing my cheek. I forced a smile. "Yeah, big project." "You?" She shrugged. "Crashed early. Missed you." The lie slid off her tongue like honey, and I swallowed my disgust with my coffee. That day, I started gathering evidence. I installed a tracking app on her phone while she showered. Her password was still our anniversary. A cruel irony. I checked her texts, her emails, finding threads with Tom buried under aliases. "Missed you last night," he'd written. "You're my muse," she'd replied. My hands shook as I screenshot everything, saving it to a hidden folder. I followed her car's GPS that evening. She went to his apartment, a sleek loft downtown. I parked across the street, watching her silhouette in his window, their shadows merging. I didn't feel pain anymore, just a cold, surgical focus. Weeks passed, and I became a ghost in my own life. I smiled at her over dinner, asked about her day, even brought her flowers once. Daffodils, her favorite. She'd beam, oblivious to the venom behind my gestures. Meanwhile, I dug deeper. Tom was a real estate agent, charming and well-connected, with a reputation for bending rules. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled man named Paul, who tailed them discreetly. He delivered photos. Emily and Tom at a hotel, a park, a late-night diner. Each image was a knife twist, but I needed them, proof for what was coming. I learned their patterns. Tuesdays and Thursdays, she'd meet him after work. Fridays, she'd claim a girls' night and stay at his place until dawn. I tested her once, calling during a supposed meeting. She picked up, breathless, background noise muffled. "Hey, just checking in," I said. "Oh, hi. In a loud cafe with a client," she lied. I heard Tom's low chuckle before she hung up. That night, I sat in our living room, staring at the wedding photo on the mantel, her in white, me grinning like a fool. I smashed it, glass splintering across the floor, and told her I'd dropped a bottle when she got home. My revenge crystallized. I wouldn't just leave her. I'd ruin them both, methodically, irreversibly. I started with Tom. Using a burner phone, I contacted a hacker friend from college, someone who owed me a favor. "I need leverage," I said. He dug into Tom's digital life, tax evasion, shady deals, a mistress he'd kept from Emily. I stockpiled it all, a ticking bomb. For Emily, I planned something slower, more personal. She'd built her career on her reputation. I'd dismantle it, piece by piece, until she had nothing left but the wreckage of her choices. By late May, I was a man possessed, my days split between work and vengeance. Emily noticed my distance, her brow furrowing over breakfast. "You okay, Dan? You seem off." I shrugged, sipping my coffee. "Just stressed. Big project." She bought it, her guilt making her eager to please. She cooked more, touched me more, as if overcompensating. It made me sick, but I played along, letting her think she'd won me back. Meanwhile, Paul uncovered a goldmine. Tom had a pending deal, a luxury condo sale worth millions. If it fell through, he'd lose everything. I struck first. Using the hacker's intel, I leaked Tom's tax discrepancies to his biggest client anonymously. The deal imploded within days. Texts from Emily confirmed it. "Tom's a mess," she wrote to a friend. "Some legal mess-up." I smiled, imagining his panic. Next, I targeted her. I accessed her freelance accounts, planting subtle errors in her designs. Wrong fonts, misaligned logos. Small enough to seem like mistakes but frequent enough to erode her client's trust. Complaints trickled in. She scrambled to fix them, her stress palpable. "I don't know what's happening," she vented one night, tears in her eyes. I hugged her, whispering, "It'll be okay," while savoring the chaos I'd sown. Her affair continued, though blind to the noose tightening. I watched them from afar, their laughter a taunt I'd soon silence. I wasn't done, not by a long shot. The real cruelty, the final act, was still to come, and I'd make sure they felt every second of it. The summer heat settled over Portland like a suffocating blanket, mirroring the tension coiling inside me. By June, Emily's career was teetering. Clients dropped her one by one, citing sloppy work she couldn't explain. She'd pace the house, muttering about sabotage, her fingers trembling as she pored over her laptop. I'd nod sympathetically, offering vague reassurances while silently reveling in her unraveling. "Maybe take a break," I suggested one evening, watching her sip wine with a haunted look. She shook her head. "I can't. I need to figure this out." I hid my smirk behind a sip of bourbon, knowing she never would. Tom, meanwhile, was drowning. The condo deal's collapse triggered a domino effect. Creditors circled, his reputation in tatters. I'd escalated things, tipping off a local journalist with the burner phone about his shady past. A scathing article hit the papers, painting him as a con man with a trail of broken promises. Emily didn't mention it, but I saw the strain in her eyes, the late-night calls she took in the bathroom, thinking I couldn't hear. "It'll blow over," I'd hear her whisper, her voice cracking. I'd lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, imagining her panic as her lover crumbled. I upped the ante. Using the hacker skills, I accessed Tom's email and sent a forged message to Emily from his account. A cruel, dismissive breakup note. "You were a distraction. I'm done." I watched her read it the next morning, her face paling as she sat at the kitchen table. She didn't cry, not then, just stared at the screen, her coffee growing cold. "Everything okay?" I asked, feigning concern. She nodded stiffly, excusing herself to the bathroom. I heard the faucet run, masking whatever sound she didn't want me to hear. It was a small victory, but I savored it, knowing the real blow was yet to come. That night, I planted the next seed. I left a printed photo on her desk. One Paul had snapped of her and Tom at the hotel, time-stamped. No note, just the image. When she found it, she confronted me, her voice shaking. "Dan, what's this?" I played dumb, frowning. "No idea. Where'd you get it?" She stammered, claiming it was an old photo, a misunderstanding. I let it drop, watching her squirm, the lie eating at her. July brought wildfires to the outskirts of town, the air thick with smoke and an ominous glow on the horizon. Felt fitting, my world was burning too, but I held the match. Emily grew erratic, jumping at every notification, her excuses flimsier. "I'm meeting Sarah tonight," she'd say, but the GPS showed her at Tom's loft. I let her go, tracking her movements, building my case. She'd come home disheveled, her smiles forced, and I'd greet her with a kiss, tasting the deceit on her lips. Fueled me, that bitterness, sharpening my resolve. Tom reached out to her. I saw the texts. "That email wasn't me. Someone's messing with us." She believed him, their affair reigniting despite the chaos. I didn't care. It made my plan sweeter. I contacted a lawyer, quietly drafting divorce papers, but that was just the beginning. I wanted more than freedom, I wanted them broken. I dug into Emily's past, finding an old college rival, Jenna, who'd always envied her success. A few anonymous emails later, Jenna was spreading rumors online about Emily's unprofessionalism, linking to the doctor designs. Her reputation tanked further. A major client canceled a contract, citing trust issues. At home, I played the doting husband. I cooked elaborate dinners, roast lamb, herbed potatoes, watching her pick at her food, lost in thought. "You're too good to me," she said once, guilt flickering in her eyes. I smiled, saying nothing, letting her stew. One night, she broke down, sobbing about her career. "I don't know who's doing this, Dan." I held her, stroking her hair, whispering, "We'll get through it. while plotting her next fall. The photo incident lingered. She'd stopped mentioning Tom. But I knew she was seeing him, clinging to him like a lifeline. I cut that line soon enough. August arrived, sticky and relentless, the city humming with cicadas and unease. Emily's freelance work dried up completely. She took a part-time gig at a print shop, a humiliating downgrade. She'd come home exhausted, her hands stained with ink, and I'd listen to her vent, nodding as if I cared. Tom's life was worse. Lawsuits piled up, his loft foreclosed. I'd orchestrated it all, funneling tips to his enemies, watching him sink. Emily still met him, though, their encounters desperate now, fueled by shared ruin. I followed once, parked outside his new dive apartment, seeing her slip inside. I didn't feel jealousy, just anticipation. I struck again. Using the hacker, I infiltrated Emily's portfolio site, replacing her best work with garish, amateur edits, neon colors, distorted logos. Clients who Googled her saw it first, a mockery of her talent. She discovered it days later, screaming into her phone at the hosting company, who claimed it was a user error. She turned to me, wild-eyed. "Someone's out to get me, Dan. This isn't random." I frowned, suggesting a cyber attack, offering to hire someone to look into it. She agreed, unaware I'd already covered my tracks. Tom's turn came next. I mailed his mistress, a woman he'd hidden from Emily, photos of him with my wife along with a note. "He's playing you both," she called Emily, furious, and I listened from the hallway as my wife denied it, her voice shrill. The call ended with threats, and Emily collapsed on the couch, muttering about betrayal. I walked in, asking what happened. "Just a crazy person," she lied, avoiding my gaze. I nodded, letting the silence choke her. The rift between her and Tom widened. She texted him less, their meetings sporadic. I'd fractured them, but the final blow loomed. September painted the trees in fiery hues, a cruel irony against the ash of my marriage. Emily withdrew, her laughter gone, replaced by a hollow stare. She'd lost weight, her clothes hanging loose, and I watched her fade with a detached satisfaction. Tom was a shell too. Paul reported he'd started drinking heavily, his car repossessed. I'd stripped them of stability, but I wasn't finished. I wanted them to feel the depth of my betrayal, mirrored back in a way they couldn't escape. I staged the next move carefully. I rented a storage unit under a fake name, filling it with mementos of their affair, hotel receipts, a scarf she'd left at his place, a cheap necklace he'd given her. I hired an actor to pose as a concerned friend, delivering an anonymous tip to Emily. "Check Unit 17 at Pacific Storage. You deserve the truth." She went, of course. I followed, watching her unlock it, her hands shaking. Inside, she found the evidence, each item a dagger. She called Tom, hysterical, accusing him of setting it up. He denied it, their argument echoing through the lot. I stayed hidden, the architect of their collapse, my heart steady. Back home, she confronted me, tears streaking her face. "Someone knows, Dan. They're tormenting me." I played dumb, asking questions, letting her spin theories about enemies. "Maybe it's Jenna," she whispered. I shrugged, planting doubt. "Could be. She always hated you." She latched onto it, desperate for a scapegoat, while I tightened the noose. That night, she drank herself to sleep, and I sat in my office, reviewing the divorce papers. I'd serve them soon, but first, I'd deliver the coup de grace, a public humiliation they'd never outrun. October's chill seeped into the house, matching the frost in my soul. Emily barely spoke, her days spent staring at job boards, her nights restless. Tom had vanished from her life. I'd ensured it, leaking his mistress drama to a gossip blog, branding him a sleaze. She didn't know I'd seen them together, didn't suspect my hand in her misery. I kept up the charade, cooking breakfast, asking about her day, my voice a mask of care. She'd mumble responses, her spirit crushed, and I'd nod, counting the days to my finale. I planned a party, our anniversary, 12 years. I invited her old clients, friends, even Jenna, framing it as a fresh start for her career. She resisted, but I insisted, guilt tripping her into agreeing. "It'll be good for you," I said, and she relented, too tired to fight. I rented a venue, a chic loft downtown, and hired a projector. The night arrived, guests milling with wine and small talk. Emily forced a smile, clinging to my arm, unaware of the trap. I'd edited a slideshow, our wedding vacations, slipping in Paul's photos at the end. Her and Tom, undeniable, time-stamped. As the lights dimmed, I hit play. The room cooed at our early years, then gasped as the affair flashed across the screen. Emily froze, her glass slipping, shattering. Whispers erupted. Jenna smirked. I stepped forward, voice calm. "I filed for divorce. Enjoy the party." I walked out, leaving her in the wreckage, her shame a spotlight. Tom's ruin was already public, hers now matched. I drove home, the city blurring past, feeling not triumph, but a quiet, hollow release. The fallout from the anniversary party spread like wildfire through dry grass. By morning, Portland's social circles buzzed with the scandal. Emily's affair, my calculated reveal, the photos that left no room for denial. I woke to a silent house, her side of the bed empty, a note on the counter. "I'm staying with Sarah. I'm sorry." The apology felt like a slap, too late and too small. I crumpled it, tossing it into the trash with the last of her lavender candles. The air smelled of coffee and betrayal, and I sat there, sipping from my mug, letting the stillness settle over me. Calls came in, friends offering support, others fishing for gossip. I kept my responses curt, deflecting with "it's done" or "I'm fine." I wasn't fine, not really, but the ache had dulled into something manageable, a bruise I could press without flinching. Emily's absence was a void I'd expected, yet it gnawed at me. The years we'd built, the trust I'd poured into her, now ash. I didn't mourn her, though. I mourned the man I'd been, blind and soft, before this hardened me into something else. Outside, the world moved on. I drove to the office, ignoring the whispers from colleagues, burying myself in blueprints. Mike, the coworker who'd first tipped me off, clapped my shoulder. "You're a legend, man." That took guts. I shrugged, not wanting praise. I hadn't done it for glory, but for justice, cold and precise. Meanwhile, I heard through the grapevine that Emily had quit the print shop, her reputation too tarnished to salvage. Sarah, her supposed lifeline, texted me, "She's a mess. What now?" I didn't reply, let her drown in it. That night, I cleaned the house, purging her traces. Sketchbooks, clothes, the daffodil vase she loved. I boxed it all, leaving it on the porch for her to claim or not. The act was mechanical, not cathartic, a final severing of the thread. I slept better than I had in months, the weight of her gone, replaced by a clarity that felt almost cruel. November draped the city in fog, a gray shroud that matched the mood. Emily tried reaching out. Texts, voicemails, her voice thin and pleading. "Dan, can we talk? I know I messed up." I deleted them unread, unheard. My silence a wall she couldn't breach. The divorce papers were served that week, delivered to Sarah's address by a courier who reported back. She cried, wouldn't sign. I didn't care. She'd sign eventually. Her options were shrinking, her life a cage I'd locked. Tom surfaced too, indirectly. Paul, still on retainer, sent me updates. He'd moved to a rundown motel, his car gone, his charm useless. The lawsuits had drained him, the blog post a permanent stain. I'd heard he'd tried calling Emily, but she'd blocked him, her trust in him shattered by the storage unit stunt and the mistress reveal. I pictured them apart, each nursing their wounds, and felt a flicker of satisfaction. It wasn't joy, not quite, but a grim confirmation that my plan had worked. At home, I rebuilt. I painted the walls a stark white, erasing her warm tones, and sold the Craftsman house to a young couple eager for their own start. I moved into a sleek condo downtown, all glass and steel, a fortress of my own making. Work picked up. Clients admired my focus, unaware it stemmed from vengeance turned discipline. I hired a new assistant, a sharp woman named Claire, who didn't pry but sensed my edges. "You're different," she said once over coffee. "Driven." I nodded, leaving it at that. Emily's world kept crumbling. Jenna, emboldened by the party, had started a whisper campaign. Half-truths about Emily's unreliability, spreading online. A former client sued her for a botched project, one I'd sabotaged months ago. She had no defense, no money for a lawyer. I watched from afar, detached, the architect of her ruin, now a spectator to its completion. December arrived with frost and fleeting snow, the city twinkling under holiday lights I didn't feel. Emily signed the divorce papers finally, her signature shaky on the scanned copy my lawyer sent. She got nothing, no house, no alimony. Her infidelity a legal hammer I'd wielded without mercy. I sold her boxes from the porch to a thrift shop, keeping only our wedding ring to melt down later, a symbolic end. The settlement was final by Christmas Eve, and I spent the night alone, a glass of whiskey in hand, staring at the skyline from my condo's balcony. She'd moved, I learned. Sarah kicked her out after the crying wore thin. A mutual friend, guilt-ridden, told me she'd taken a room in a cheap boarding house, working nights at a diner. "She's lost Dan," he said, as if I'd care. I didn't. She'd chosen this, every step, and I'd only guided her to the edge. Tom fared worse. Paul's last report placed him in a shelter, his debts a noose he couldn't escape. The mistress had sued him too, a petty cherry on his collapse. I stopped tracking them then, my revenge complete, their lives rubble at my feet. I leaned into my new life. Claire and I grew close. Not romantically, but as allies, her dry humor a balm to my cynicism. Work thrived. I landed a contract for a downtown high-rise, my name gaining weight in circles Emily once dreamed of joining. Friends invited me out, and I went, laughing again though it felt borrowed. The cruelty I'd unleashed lingered in me, a shadow I couldn't shake, but I didn't regret it. They'd betrayed me, and I'd repaid them tenfold. One evening, sorting mail, I found a letter, no return address, her handwriting. "I'm sorry, Dan. I'll never forgive myself." I burned it in the sink, watching the flames curl the paper, and washed the ash away. Closure wasn't hers to give. January's bite sharpened the air. The city huddled against the cold. I saw Emily once, by chance, waiting tables at a diner near my office. She didn't see me. I stood across the street, watching through the window as she shuffled between tables, her hair limp, her apron stained. She looked older, hollowed out, a ghost of the woman I'd loved. I felt nothing. No pity, no triumph, just a blank space where she'd once lived. I turned away, heading to a meeting, her existence irrelevant now. Tom's fate reached me through Paul. One last update. He'd left town, hitchhiking south, a broken man with nothing left. I nodded, filing it away, the chapter closed. My focus shifted fully to the future. Claire and I pitched the high-rise design, winning over the developers with a sleek, brutalist vision. They toasted me at the signing, calling me ruthless in the best way. I smiled, accepting the compliment, knowing it fit more than they realized. Socially, I re-emerged. A friend set me up with a woman, Lisa, a quiet botanist with a sharp mind. We dated casually, her presence a tentative warmth against my edges. She asked about my past once, sensing the weight. "Rough divorce," I said, and she didn't press. I liked that, her restraint, her calm. It wasn't love, not yet, but a possibility, a crack in the ice I'd become. At night, alone, I'd stand on the balcony, the city sprawling below. The cruelty I'd inflicted haunted me faintly, a whisper of what I was capable of, but I didn't flinch from it. Emily and Tom had lit the fuse. I'd only directed the blast. Their ruin was theirs to bear, and I'd walked away clean, my hands steady, my life mine again. February dawned softer, the cold easing as spring hinted at its approach. The high-rise project consumed me, blueprints sprawling across my desk, a new legacy rising from the ashes of the old. Lisa became a fixture. Dinners, hikes, her laughter a sound I hadn't known I'd missed. She planted herbs on my balcony, their scent cutting through the sterile air, and I let her, letting something grow where I'd raised everything else. "You're thawing," she teased once. And I smirked, not denying it. Emily faded from the city's chatter. Someone said she'd left, chasing a fresh start elsewhere. I didn't care to verify it. She was a memory, a lesson in trust and retribution. Tom, too, vanished from the radar, a footnote in my story. I sold the melted wedding ring, using the cash for a new watch, its ticking a reminder of time reclaimed. Work accolades piled up, my name in trade magazines, my past a shadow only I saw. One Sunday, Lisa and I walked the waterfront, the river glinting under a rare sun. She slipped her hand in mine, and I didn't pull away. The cruelty I'd wielded had carved me anew. Harder, yes, but not hollow. I'd destroyed them, Emily and Tom, with a precision that still startled me, but I'd built something too. A life untainted by their deceit. The revenge had been cruel, yes, but it was mine. A fire I'd stoked and extinguished, leaving me standing whole on the other side.